940 barrels per day, while at the Unity it was 241,160 barrels per day. ExxonMobil's corporation affiliate Esso Exploration and Production Ghana Limited is expected to ramp up production at the Liza Unity by as much as 20%. The same will obtain when its third vessel, the Prosperity, comes in stream at the Payara field later this year. Upon taking this note of this accelerated pace of production, former head of the Environmental Protection Agency, Dr. Vincent Adams, said in a previous interview that the American oil giant is not only slaughtering the safety limits but making a mockery of the government in the name of greed. Dr. Adams said when an environmental impact assessment is done prior to oil production operations commencing, it explains clearly what would be the safe limit of production the oil companies will abide by. He said too that this number is used to generate oil spill scenarios for the government's regulatory arm to consider. When the goalpost is shifted by going beyond the safety limit, Dr. Adams said it is common sense that the EIA would be properly updated to reflect the new risks that would come with increased production numbers.
And that's the news of the moment. Remember to get the full details of these stories, pick up a copy of the Kaieteur News. And don't forget, you can catch us on the MyTuner app as well as the Radio Garden app. You can also keep up to date by liking our Facebook page at Kaieteur Radio and subscribing to our YouTube channel, Kaieteur Radio Livestream. Oh, also catch our stream at www.kaieteurnewsonline.com/radio.
Guyana, join me on the Glenn Lal Show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:20 p.m. and a rebroadcast at 11 a.m. The Glenn Lal Show, only on Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 and 99.5 FM.
11 hours 3 in Guyana, right across the Eastern Caribbean. It is time for a rebroadcast of the Glenn Lal Show.
Can't trust them to describe and address the problems. Then how are we going to trust them to fix and correct the problems? My program tonight is based on a question a caller put to me last Wednesday. It is a line with 3 words and a huge figure sitting in the Exxon Guyana 2021 financial statement. Guys, you will hear tonight how all of us are being skinned alive with this oil operation going on out there. What is supposed to be the sweetest and best story ever for Guyana is turning out to be the worst horror movie the world will ever see. The only difference between the outer world and the Guyanese people is that the outer world would believe it is a horror movie. But for the Guyanese people, it's not a movie, but a real-life horror. Tonight's program is frightening. The more I think about it, what is going on here presently, the more I am fearful for the future of this country. And with that, I say namaste to all you wonderful people. The first question I sent to President Ali is, why is he selling the profitable Marriott Hotel? I didn't go into details to tell him that this hotel, the only thing we actually got in Guyana, bringing in some money, and is set to bring in tons in the future. Thank God for the oil money. If not, it would have been a very ugly investment in which we would have been paying down the light bill like we used to before on that very Marriott. Uncle, when I get an answer from President Ali as to why he's selling it, I will update all of you. I was asked a question by a caller to explain what is depreciation and this huge sums of money ExxonMobil taking out under that category. Guys, depreciation is an expense, not a real cost. It is a percentage you deduct every year from the value of a vehicle, a piece of machinery, or something, a printing press you have in the building. Yes, which keeps losing the value. Let me give you a simple example. You buy a car, a bush truck, a computer, a printing press, let's say for whatever, $3 million, and next year you're ready to sell it. You're not going to get $3 million. You're going to get less, whether you use it or not. So the money you take out every year is what you call depreciation. It puts back the company or you in a position to replace the asset, the worn out assets. In a partnership business, somebody can get shaft. And in the case of Guyana and ExxonMobil, the government is being shafted. The amount ExxonMobil taking out shortens our profits and taxes. So the more Exxon take out as depreciation expenses, the less profits Guyana gets. I can't talk about the taxes because Exxon not paying any taxes. That was exempted and still exempted by both governments. And Jagdeo don't intend to make them pay any taxes in any other upcoming projects. So let's not talk about that. I raised this very issue, Uncle, with Vice President Jagdeo after we had that radio program in my office. I showed him the figures, what ExxonMobil took out for 2021 on my phone. He took my phone, opened it big so he can see the figures that came out as depreciation expenses, Uncle, and didn't say a single word. But that is the man, Bharat Jagdeo. If we can't trust our own leaders to address the issues, then how can we trust them to fix the problems? You tell me. You tell me. I looked at him and let it slide that night. You know, he believes when these issues arise, it will just vanish slowly into thin air. It will disappear, forgotten. The Guyanese people, in their minds, Uncle, everything is a 7-day wonder. Yeah, man. After 7 days, everything goes away. That's how they think. That's how they get away with every robbery and crookishness they perpetuated in this land. But let me tell him, that depreciation expense is one of the many issues that have nowhere to go until it is fixed or corrected. Every year it will pop up in the oil companies' financial statements, and I will ensure that it burns a hole in every Guyanese consciousness. If they're sleeping, this can't go nowhere, Uncle. Let me repeat. I will burn a hole in every Guyanese consciousness if they're sleeping. This ain't going nowhere, Uncle. This is another cunning method being used by the oil companies to rob every Guyanese alive today and those to come. Now let me tell you, the amount them take out in 2021 that should have been in our pockets as profits. You ready to hear the figure? $78.5 billion come out as depreciation expenses alone. And guess how much royalty they gave us in 2021? A mere $5.8 billion. What can't fit in we teeth hole. Hold up. Get me straight. Not Glenn Lal is saying this. This is in black and white, coming from the oil company's 2021 financial statement. So get that clear in your head, uncle. The depreciation money them take out is $78.5 billion. Guyana gets $5.8 billion in royalties. Uncle, if you can't trust your leader, let me say it again, to address these issues, how can you trust them to correct or fix them? Depreciation expense is for things them say them leasing or renting, uncle, or things we don't know about or not even using here. And instead, Jagdev and President Ali addresses these issues. They are attacking the organizations and reporters who are highlighting these subject matters. I talked about it only Wednesday night. Every one of you heard how President Ali himself railed off and railed down on the questions my reporter asked him on the billions taking out, on cleanup expenses and capping of the interest rates. You guys heard him. I don't have to play him back. I don't have to play him. You guys remember. But let me tell y'all this one thing. You guys notice the leaders of Guyana, instead of addressing the issues, them attacking their own people in their own effort to protect foreigners that robbing us blind? How can you put food on your table or patch the roads? How can we get a little something out of this massive oil we find in this country when the leaders you trust to manage it and manage it right is not on your side, but on the side of the outsiders? Let me thank that gentleman for reminding me about this depreciation expenses that Exxon taking out. And let me repeat the figure them take out for 2021. $78.5 billion. That is 2 complete Demerara Harbor Bridge money. What Guyana going to take loan for bill? You see how nice they put it for y'all? 2 Harbor Bridge money. Jagdev angling his head away from me when this was shown to him in my office. Here's some more. The depreciation expense the oil companies take out for 2021 alone is 3 times more than the production costs, which is $26 billion. And how much royalties Guyana get? $5.8 billion. Good going, eh? Again, how much Guyana get, son? $5.8 billion. Exactly. Let me simplify that for you. Let me make that more simple. The money the driver taking out every day for wear and tear on a bus is more than the total expenses for the day. The gasoline, the workshop, for wash the bus and so on, for grease up, yes, to patch up the wheels if they get puncture, and even to give a bribe, yes, before he give you profits. So what are they doing to you there, Greg? The boss man full up his pocket. Yes. He full up his pocket first and call it production expense. Then he share profit with you. This is what is going on in this country. Yes. This is what Vice President Jagdev and President Ali not checking on, turning a blind eye to. Auntie, them oil companies really brave and brazen. They rob you on the oil contract. Now they're robbing you in every line item in the bookkeeping arrangements. That is what you call profit sharing? Huh? A half and half business? Man giving you expenses like water flowing and you not checking? Something is wrong. Or something going on that we don't know about. Man, exactly. Somebody is being paid while you are being played. Man, when I look at these things and think about them, and look at these leaders' faces, I just tell myself, Glenn Lal, they're really good looking, you know. And they're very honest. Yes, they're very honest people to have around you. These are the kind of business people that wants to holler on reporters and shout at international bodies when they expose these things. Again, let me thank the caller for reminding me again about depreciation expenses, because it would have slid under the table and disappear. Too much going on and too fast in this country, Uncle and Auntie. I wanted to touch a long time on that 2% royalty them say we get in, but keep forgetting. Can some caller please remind me to deal with that? Oh boy, Greg. Let's go back to that depreciation expenses and other expenses. That is basically giving Guyana nothing that they call something. Yes. Hear this one, Greg. The depreciation expense is not only larger than the production expense by 3 times, but it also double the exploration expenses. Wow. You hear me, man? In 2021, $34.4 billion was taken out as another expense. Searching for oil, uncle. So there you go. $34.4 billion for dig, map up, study and search for more oil in 2021 alone. And you remember how much we get, Greg? 5.8 billion. 5.8. Yes. Here's another expense. They call it operating expense. Things like transportation, fuel, and so on. For 2021 is $18.5 billion them take out. And we only collect how much? 5.8 in royalties for the whole year. Those were very clear on my phone to Mr. Jagdeo. A matter of fact, it's only 6 short lines with 6 things I showed him. The production expenses, exploration expenses, operating expenses, administrative expenses, lease interests, and the king of them all, the depreciation expenses. I put it up on the screen, Uncle. Call one of your children or grandchildren and let them screenshot it for you to see. You would also see another line. They took out $29 billion, something called administrative expenses. And how much we get, Greg?
5.8.
5.8 billion in royalties. Uncle and auntie, administrative expenses means the wife, they're home, the wife, they're home sleeping, and she getting paid that money to run the taxi service daily. Meaning ExxonMobil offices, man. Be it here in Guyana, Greg, Trinidad, Texas, or Vexus. That has anything, nothing to do with the Guyana operations. You know, they can just stay home and all over anywhere and get paid. Yes. They put under administrative expenses, Uncle. You know, if they fly to Tokyo, Japan, with their families, that is administrative expenses. If they go boating and skiing in Alaska or Swiss Alps, it is considered administrative expenses. If they fly to Las Vegas and gamble, administrative expenses. And if they have ghost workers, yeah man, ghost workers, that is also catered for as administrative expenses. Man, every vacation they take, everywhere they wine and dine, every time they play golf, any hotel they stay at, nannies for their children, school children fees for the children, every single thing, Greg, you hear me, is fall under on the books, and they put it under administrative expenses. This line item, man, is an all-purpose vacuum cleaner, Uncle. To suck up and clean up your aisle money. Yes. Masquerading under the float as administrative expenses. Greg, these guys think about every way possible, everything imaginable, how to take your clothes off and leave you to breathe and drink contaminated water. Yeah, man. Let me say thanks again to that caller for raising that depreciation question that opened this can of worms or marabunta nests waiting to be juked. Yes, thank you, guy. I am juking it here for all of you. Thanks. Let's go to the 6th line item. Listen to this, Greg. I am not going past that. I am going past 6th line item, just 6, which they have listed as lease interest. You hear me? Lease interest. I am not talking about a lease amount. This says lease interest. $6.6 billion. And how much Guyana get in royalties?
5.8.
5.8. These things can only make me laugh. That is the figure they took out for 2021 in interest alone on the money they borrow to lease or rent the boats, buildings, ships, vehicles, helicopters, and so on, brother. You hear me? Money what they borrow for the lease of that. Let me be very clear, uncle. This has nothing to do with the lease and rent charges we are paying for each boat trip, helicopter trip, or the work, the rigs and the ships doing out there. That has nothing to do with that. This 6.6 billion came out from the oil. It's just the interest being paid on the loans they borrow to finance those leases. Imagine this. We own oil and the bank were only lending them money to sign up lease, making more money than Guyana, brother. Huh? I see the tragedy we face and the trouble we in here. Interest money on the leasing arrangement is more than what Guyana got for royalties in 2021. Uncle, auntie, when we total the exploration, production, operational, administrative, lease interest, and the king of all the expenses, depreciation, it adds up to $193 billion. And out of all of that, Guyana getting $5.8 billion in royalties. What kind of business President Ali and Jagdeo running in this country, man? $193 billion. Them says expenses. And Guyana get $5.8 billion. Like I said, if we can't trust them to address the problems, then how can we trust them to correct and fix them? Tell me something, Guyana. Tell me something, please. All you hear about is expenses upon expenses. Yes. $193 billion plus in expenses. And all Guyana get is a teetotal money. $5.8 billion in royalties. I ain't talk about the profits. I ain't touch profits. I ain't mention profits at all. Whenever I hear about that word, profit oil, my body boils. So I left that completely. I'm not talking about that tonight. Let me say this, man. And I mean this from my heart. This country, and 99.9% of its citizens, yes, are better off without ExxonMobil and the foreigners in this country. Y'all tell these people, take the oil and let them work from another country. Please. Please. If not, mark my words. The destruction, damages, and poverty that this oil industry will cause and leave Guyana in its people, man, 100 years will pass and generations to come will not be able to correct, fix, and come out of poverty and debts this oil operation will put them in. If I think what y'all going through presently is poverty? No. Think again. The young ones of today, their children and their children's children will be left with their eyes wide open to see and witness what Glenn Lal is telling y'all here tonight. Yes, it will become a reality for them to see. You talking about danger? Huh? Robbery, car hijacking, and banditry, chain snatching, pouch snatching, and foul thieving? Nah, man. Cattle hustling? No. Put all together, and those are not crimes. Those are not crimes. This, what is happening in this country, is a crime. Real crime. Crime beyond one's imagination. Not in any law books or any any courts have ever seen. You want to talk about crime, you got to talk about profit sharing and the royalties with ExxonMobil. Yes. The little 5.8 billion we get in 2021 for royalty is in the expenses column. I think I made a mistake, man. I ain't said a thing right. You want to talk about profit sharing and royalties with ExxonMobil, uncle? Then listen this. The little $5.8 billion what can't fill with the toll that we get as royalties in 2021 is in the expense column of ExxonMobil. You know what I mean? They're giving you the royalty with the left hand and snatch it back with the right hand. Man, if this is not a crime bigger than Jim Jones, the crime of the century, if this is not a crime worse than the Lusignan massacre and the Bartica slaughter, put all three together, then nothing is a crime. Somebody got to wake me up and show me a crime that is greater than what's going on in this land today. Me and my reporter confronted Vice President Jagdeo. You guys remember? Twice on this royalty issue. And down to that, this man cannot give a straight answer. Uncle, the royalties this country getting from our oil, and this man that it was put in charge didn't know, couldn't say if it's being snatched back by the oil companies. Could you believe this? Huh? Are you really believe he in darkness? Huh? Don't fool yourself. That is the farthest thing from reality. Yes. Are you really believe he's incompetent? No. Jagdeo is not incompetent. Get out your heads. Are you think he's stupid? Not at all. A man who, a man who run this country as president for 12 years with a strong financial foundation knows everything that involves money in this country. And he has not come out on to this day and said clearly that this 2% royalty is what it is? Huh? That Exxon can't take it back? Man, let me play both answers for you to hear. Yes, that he gave us. My reporter asked him if the royalties is being recovered by ExxonMobil. Please listen to his answer. Play that tape I gave you.
Okay. Also on the audit, sir, several countries have encountered issues when it comes to not specifically outlining what is not cost recoverable. Do you know if because in our PSA, for the staff of law, there's nothing there that says royalty is not recoverable.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any guarantee that this is not going to be recovered? Or are you awaiting the audit to ascertain if that is the case?
Yes, the thing is that the lawyers have to do that. I don't want to venture public positions that I may have to walk back at some point in time, so I should be a bit more cautious on this. Because on other matters, we've had some contention at the GRA.
He doesn't want to venture into public positions where he may have to walk back at some point in time. He got to be a little cautious. What is public, dear Uncle and Auntie? You in charge. And it's two things Guyana getting out of this oil money. Two things. The royalty and that messy, stinking profit share. And you don't want to say because you don't want to walk back on your words. Eh? What really all going on within this country, Uncle? Eh? What really they going on with? You guys really believe that is stupidity? Well, I don't. Jack Dave is just playing games with our lives and our livelihood. Yes, that's what he's playing. Let me play his response to the same question at his second press conference. He wasn't asked this time. He came out knowing that we would ask him. So he didn't wait for us to ask. He gave an answer. Listen to the answer he gave at his second press conference on the same subject matter. Whether Exxon is taking back the 2% or not. Play it.
And now I can answer definitively because I've spoken to the GRA on the tax side. So because the royalty is not cost deductible, but it is GRA based on our laws, are GRA tax deductible, but they don't come out of the cost bank. So the contractor has to pay from its share the 2% royalty to the government. So the contractor ends up with 10.5% of gross revenue, and the government ends up with 14.5% of gross revenue. That is how it is.
That is how it is. Anyone of you understand anything he said there? Nobody asked him what we getting. We just want to know if Exxon snatching back the 2% with their right hand when they don't give us with their left hand. That question was not answered. Could you believe this thing, brother? Guyanese, you people listening to me, royalties, less than 2% royalties are you getting? A straight question like that. 2 press conference. He didn't wait for the second. He came up with his own answer in his mind to kerfuffle our brains. did not answer the question. Instead, Jagdev telling us people gonna give us 2% out of their share to our share. So them gonna get 10.5% and we gonna get 14.5%. He going to profit. Plus the royalty. Oh brother. Oh brother. Sometimes I'm lost for words. I truly lost for words to try explaining this madness that comes out of his mouth just now. Any other thing, he knows how to bob and weave and spin around and dance around. My God. The only thing you get in royalty, this man can't tell you, answer a simple question. You know, let me end by telling you, and this whole world, that percentage that came out of his mouth, and Exxon's mouth, uncle, is not only wrong, but it's downright misleading. And I can prove that. I will speak about that later. When one of you remind me though. Some of you may want to ask me, why you're not speaking on these issues? You know, uncle, you know why I never spoke on it? And you know why I haven't exposed it ever since? Well, all these things and many more I didn't bring out because I wanted to confront President Ali and Jagdev with these questions in their face. Just to show this nation how they're selling out this entire country. In short, they're not looking, they're not doing anything whatsoever in our best interests. No. The last press conference, they wanted me to hand him my questions. And President Ali is also suggesting that we can send our questions to them. Well, I will send some, and some I will keep to throw in their faces because we want to hear the excuses. You know, if you send the question, they're going to kerfuffle the answers and put it out. I want to throw it in their face and let them answer. The way how we answer, well, I don't want to put my mouth into something that I may have to walk back on. My gosh, you people in trouble. 26 billion production expenses. 34 billion searching for oil. Administrative expense 29 billion. Lease interest 6.6 billion. Operational expenses 18 billion. And the king of them all, depreciation expenses 78.5 billion. Y'all total them for me, man. Them a simple figure. 1878, 6 and so on. Is $193 billion for 2021 in expenses alone. And Guyana, 1+% royalty, give us 5.8 billion. And on top of that, they list that as an expense too. Which means they can take it out. And if I lie, they don't take it out. Because Jagdev didn't answer that question. So they give you the 5.8 and then don't take it out. We will see in the 2022 financial statement if them take it out. That's your oil account, uncle. This is the beginning of the oil industry story. And as the year go by, the figures will triple, if not quadruple, as the other projects kick in. This will be the whole Guyana oil story. And what are you hearing from President Ali? Come with facts before you can speak to me. Well, all this I'm showing Mr. Ali is facts. Facts presented not by Glenn Lal, but by ExxonMobil themselves in black and white. I hope you hold a press conference in which we can have a civilized discussion on this insanity that has most of Guyana existing in poverty. If you and the Vice President care so much for the people of this country, I advise, stop running around wasting time and energy, shaking hands, patching up a shack or two. Yes. And start running around, meeting and talking to people who can fix and correct, yes, everything that's going wrong in this country. Find people with the ability, the skills, with the right equipment, and give them the latitude to improve. Yes. Fix and correct these ongoing crimes ExxonMobil is inflicting on all of us. That is what you call real leadership, Mr. Ali. That's how every citizen of this country can live in mansions rather than shacks. That's how every household can receive more than $1 million a month. It is very clear. $193 billion disappear from our oil, and Guyana only receive $5.8 billion in royalties. And let me repeat, Mr. President, is not Glenn Lal said that. That is the 2021 ExxonMobil Guyana financial statement saying that. $193 billion. And none of us know how that come out. How that come about. And if it really belongs to us. On top of all those costly and frightening horrors you heard there, Uncle, President Ali and Jagdeo keeps on approving more and more projects without any ring fencing provision in place, without demanding taxes that the laws of Guyana dictates we should have on every product we produce in this land. Yes. No increase in royalties. No improvement in the profit sharing arrangement. No proper monitoring of the expenses. No control of the decommissioning. Hundreds of millions them taken out. That will turn into billions that the Commonwealth warning us about. And above all, man, we are left hanging by a thread. We are left hanging by a thread, heading down the Kaieteur Falls. because President Ali and Jagdeo failing to secure full liability coverage from the parent companies of Exxon, CNOOC, and Hess. From the wildfire going on out there, uncle. You all see the danger we're in? You hear me? We have, above all, we have no protection. Nothing. Let me send you all to bed with this lottery. Guyana win. And nobody tell you anything. This is a nice one. You had too much of stress. Guyana won a lottery. You want to hear the lottery? Roger, ready for the lottery? The 5th project Jagdeo is going to approve. Listen to me carefully. ExxonMobil, in their 5th EIA report submitted to Guyana, that I talk about only Wednesday, uncle, went further, much deeper, to tell us in Guyana, listen this carefully, this is the lottery, for tell us in Guyana that the project, this 5th project, can destroy the entire coastline of Trinidad and Tobago. And the oil spill can reach there in a mere 5 days, faster than it will reach Guyana's shores. Are you see what these people doing? You see what these people doing? Not only Guyana, they're endangering, but the neighbors and the entire region is at risk. Read the full story in Kaieteur News this Sunday coming. My gosh. If we can't trust them to describe and address the problems, then how are we going to trust them to fix and correct the problems? Tell me, man. You know, Joshua, trust is like a piece of paper. Once it's crushed, it can never be perfect again. A lady named Miranda Lee said those words. You see, Joshua, why I always say on these programs, you have to thank David Granger for releasing that oil contract. Yep. Yeah, man. And I have to meet him personally and thank him. Under Bharat Jagdeo and President Ali, everyone I would have seen Al grave without seeing that contract. Look, the mining contracts, the gold, diamond, bauxite, and timber contracts they signed, and to know with all the promises on various press conferences and radio and TV programs, we can't see them. And Ali now playing games with them too. It seems as if they don't want, yes, they want to backpedal from releasing it to us. God Almighty, come quick, please. Not only Guyana needs you tonight. No. But the region too. May God bless all of you. And may you all have a great and fantastic weekend. Until Monday, God's willing. You know, Josh, hold a moment before you take any call. Vice President Jagdeo find time yesterday and sit down with critic a man named Critic. I don't want to describe him more than that. Sit down with him 1.5 hours and talk what? Nothing about oil. Guyana doesn't produce oil. He talked about the Rails gas plant, how it good, with no proof. You almost ask him why he's avoiding the Kaieteur Radio and the Kaieteur News, or why he's avoiding press conferences to talk to the real media and show us the proof. You know, he could have called a press conference and have the entire media there. No, he chose to go sit down one-on-one with Critic, his sidekick. Since December 2020, he promised my reporter Kiana Wilberg to have a one-on-one on the radio. You don't want to hear the excuses one after the other he made. We are in 2023, and she still can't get that one-on-one interview. The oil export. I deem her the oil export in Guyana. She can't get that one-on-one with him. Again, when you can't trust your leaders, then what else? What else do you say? I'll say this though, I'll end with this. This country will never become like Asia or Africa once Glenn Lal is around. Man, Joshua, when you can't trust the leaders, all of them, when your leaders running from the press that has to look out for a nation and its people, when a press only seeking honest answers from their leaders, then where are we heading, guys? Where are we heading? God bless you guys. Take some telephone calls. You know, a report on Monday gone says, over the last 2 years, the richest 1% people of this world own close to 2/3 of all the wealth created around this world. You hear that, Raj? And in today's Kaieteur News, yes, the headline, 43% of the Guyanese people cannot afford a healthy diet, while 5% are undernourished. Joshua, and this is not because we are poor. Guys, we are not poor. We got wealth more than any country in the region or in the world today, per capita, per person. But you know, selfishness, corrupt and greediness, yes, has Guyana where it is today. And I'm talking about the leaders of this land. That is where we are today. With that, I say no more.